Welcome to Screen Riot. This week's movie is Ocean's 11, a crime film from 1960. This episode will contain major spoilers, so if you haven't seen the movie yet, it's available to stream on all the major services for $2.99. So go check it out and come back to the podcast because this is Screen Riot.
Welcome to Screen Riot. I'm Justin, and I'm joined with co-hosts Eddie, Kyle, and John. And this week we're taking a look at the original Ocean's 11, which is a crime/heist film from 1960. It's the original one, the one that started the whole franchise of Ocean's 11, 12, 13, 8. I think that's it.
55, I don't know. Yeah whatever.
Anyway, I actually haven't seen 8. I don't think I've seen 13. Never mind.
Well, hold on. You're saying it started the franchise?
Well, I mean, not started the franchises, and it kicked off the idea of.
Well, yeah, this is the This is the original,
right? Yeah, the remakes were,
but there were no remakes for this one,
right?
Or not excuse me,
well,
not
there
remakes. There was a
was.
remake for this one, but there were no sequels to this one.
Right,
correct.
It's not like Sammy Davis Jr.'s in Ocean's 12.
Right.
I just came back for a second. Like,
Yeah. I just kind of misspoke, but
yeah, I'm with you.
It could have been me. Yeah. Anyway, go
I
ahead.
didn't realize he was so short.
He is a very tiny guy.
Yeah, but so anyway, so a quick description for this movie here. The movie follows Danny Ocean, which is played by Frank Sinatra, who gathers a group of his World War II compatriots to pull off a seemingly impossible task to rob 5 Las Vegas casinos in one night. So the film stars the Rat Pack themselves of Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, Sammy Davis Jr., and the other 2 lesser known that I can't think of right now. And
Peter Lawford and
it.
Joey Bishop.
Yeah, those 2 guys. I'll forget them. And probably, in my opinion, probably one of the best actors in this movie is Cesar Romero as Duke
Santos.
Duke Santos, yes.
Yes.
And Dean Martin.
Dean Martin was okay.
I liked Dean in this one.
Yeah, it's kind of your typical Dean in this movie.
That's what I kind of took it as.
He's the character of suave. You know, I'm gonna play the piano and ladies are gonna adore me.
It's just the scenes that he was in. I think he stole.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And if I don't remember, is it Cesar or Caesar? I always call it Caesar. Caesar Romero.
Sure, we'll go
Caesar
either way.
Romero.
yeah, I think it's Caesar. Yeah.
They weren't in scenes together too often. I don't if they were at all.
The only scene that they were in together was when Duke Santos comes to confront Frank and Dean. I know about your plot, and I'm taking half towards the very end.
Okay,
I think that's the only scene that them 2 are in together.
Gotcha. Yeah, but yeah, see, I agree. Caesar Romero did phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
Which one's Dean Martin?
See, that's a good point you bring up.
The singing one, Eddie. He sang.
This
Look,
guy.
I'm mostly kidding.
I got visuals.
I'm mostly kidding.
Okay.
No, it was a thing where I didn't know who was who for a while. Like I know what they look like, and yet in that movie there were some people that looked like other people.
There are a couple, like the 2 lesser known Rat Packers, if you can call them that.
Yeah, Peter Lawford and Joey Bishop.
Yeah, I think the one that you're talking about, Eddie, I think it's Joey Bishop.
Yeah, Joey Bishop and Frank Sinatra.
They look similar.
They sound similar too.
So I didn't.
I think they're just acting the same. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
I didn't get them confused because Joey Bishop is the guy who is walking around at the beginning with
That mob boss.
Is he a mob boss?
Yeah.
He's not really a mob boss. He's just the financier.
Spiros Acebos.
Yeah, Spiros.
Yeah, who's probably the most annoying person in the whole movie. I didn't have a problem with. I could figure them out. It was, I believe, Peter Lawford, Jimmy Foster, and Dean Martin. Those 2 I kept getting confused.
A little bit.
Like it was in one scene. I believe they're wearing very similar shades of suit, and I'm like, okay, I don't know which one was.
You said Peter Lawford and Dean Martin.
I think that's who I'm talking about.
Yeah,
it's whoever the rich kid was.
Yes.
Who was the rich kid?
Peter Lawford.
So yeah, the rich kid and Dean Martin. I just got them confused a little bit.
Okay.
Once Dean Martin sat down at the piano and started singing and stuff, I was
one
like,
has a really good singing voice. The other one has like a Prince Charles voice that he's just like, money, more money, please.
No, totally. I just got him confused. Sammy Davis Jr. was the only one that I was 100% sure all the time who I was looking at.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was Sammy Davis Jr.'s line? He's like, I knew this would come.
I knew
in
this
handy
color
one
would
day."
come in handy.
Yes.
I'm
When
like,
when they were putting the color, the
I'm like,
shoe
that
polish.
floored me. I'm like, okay, that would not fly today.
Yeah, but it's hilarious.
It was pretty.
It was
funny.
pretty funny.
Yeah, apparently all the guys made fun of him until they all died. Like that was like a running joke from that point on. That racist comment, basically.
Oh,
Yeah.
really? That racist comment?
Yeah.
Interesting.
that this color would come in handy one day.
By the way, I just want to point out too. Do you guys know Sammy Davis Jr.'s ethnicity? Has anyone ever looked it up, or do you just assume he's African American?
I just assumed.
Yeah, he's African American and Cuban.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's actually
Okay.
So we claim him. We're
Okay.
like, yeah, he's Sammy Davis Jr. And we're
he's
like,
Cuban.
hey! Yeah.
But is he like an 1/18th?
So his dad's African American, his mom is Cuban, and I believe African American herself. So
Okay.
he's just a mix. Hey, whatever. I mean, after the first generation, it's all a little bit gray.
Hey,
But
if you have ties to Cuba, then you're Cuban,
that's the way I look at it.
right?
Yeah.
Well, speaking of where people are born,
Yeah.
this movie was directed by a Ukrainian filmmaker. Actually,
Interesting.
his name was Louis Milestone.
Yeah.
Not very
That's so
Ukrainian. I know.
Ukrainian.
I know. But you'll know some of his other movies.
Okay.
Probably one of probably my top 10 movies. All Quiet on the Western Front.
Yes.
He did that.
Good movie.
2 Arabian Nights, Mutiny on the Bounty, and Of Mice and Men. So he's definitely a decorated filmmaker. He has won 2 Oscars for Best Directing. One for A Quiet on the Western Front, and the second one for 2 Arabian Nights.
Yeah. And actually, so Frank Sinatra, he's basically the modern or the old Adam Sandler. Like this movie here, he brought all of his friends together. Not like Frank is hilarious like Adam Sandler, but he brought all of his friends together, the Rat Pack, to play in this movie because he's like, hey, I just want to make a movie with my friends.
Yeah, sort of.
Yeah.
Because what I learned about doing some research on this is Joey Bishop. He first learned of the idea. He was told there was some director, I forget the name of the director. The director told Joey Bishop this idea for this movie, the basic plot.
Right.
And then he went and told Frank the movie.
Right.
Yeah, and then apparently Frank commented, well, screw the movie, let's do the job.
Right. Well,
Let's
yeah,
actually
because
rob
they
the
were
casinos.
well, because there were ties there, or there were thoughts or people that were thinking that Frank Sinatra was part of the mob, and he had some mob connections and all that kind of crazy stuff. But
funny.
When I mentioned the Rat Pack, that the actual name. Did you know how it became the Rat Pack?
No, not really.
All right, so Lauren Bacall actually coined the phrase the Rat Pack.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So back in the 50s, Humphrey Bogart and Lauren Bacall basically kind of hung out with all the A-list celebrities and at their house. They're like, yeah, this is cool. And Humphrey Bogart was actually the original member or like the head person of the Rat Pack
Humphrey Bogart was.
back in the 50s.
Okay.
So he actually came back from Vegas with a bunch of his buddies, and Lauren Bacall was quoted saying, "You look like a bunch of goddamn Rat Pack," or "You look like a goddamn Rat Pack."
And the name stuck.
And the name stuck.
That's funny. Lauren Bacall was in The Shootist, right?
Yes.
Yes.
She was
Yes,
the
she was.
the widow in The Shootist.
Right.
Okay. Just making sure I'm thinking of the same actress.
You dirty rat.
Yeah, which
You dirty rat.
definitely go
You killed my
listeners
brother.
go listen to the Shooters. That's a really good review. I think that we do.
But
For
the
sure.
but their house was actually called Holmby Hills Rat Pack. So they kind of coined it off of that. But what's kind of crazy is Frank Sinatra. He was considered pack master.
This is way too organized, by the way, for a bunch of guys just hanging out.
Yeah, I mean it's basically like a off the books club.
Yeah.
It was like an elite group of people.
Well, yeah, but I
part
mean,
of
like,
this pack.
we hang out, but we haven't anointed a pack master. Like that
Well,
just sounds weird.
But here's the crazy part: is Judy Garland was first vice president.
Like they actually had chapters.
They actually had an
doesn't make any
official
that's what I'm saying.
official club. Like this is an official thing. Sid Luft was cage master. Humphrey Bogart was rat in charge of public relations, and then others were part of it, like David Niven, he was an actor and well known for The Bishop's Wife. Katharine Hepburn, Spencer Tracy, George Cukor, Cary Grant.
Did they really do?
It's a PR thing.
Yeah,
That's what it is. Like, oh, the Rat Pack. Remember the Rat Pack? It's a PR deal.
but that was all back in the 50s.
Okay, but
So,
were they
like-
were they like the Shiners? Did they take care of burned children and shit?
Well, that would be the Shriners, not the Shiners.
Shriners.
Yeah,
sorry.
not the Shiners. We're not going to give people
I always mess
Shiners.
that up. Yeah.
Give people black eyes.
Yeah.
Which, speaking of, by
It'd
the
be a
way,
shame if give you a Shiner.
That's probably be what our club would be called.
the Shiners. Yeah, I'm confused. It almost sounds like it was bullshit, and then like people were like it almost sounds like Humphrey Bogart was being asked questions, and he was like, they're like, well, so what's this Rat Pack we hear of? And he's like, oh, it's great. It's a group of people. Judy Garland's actually the vice president, right, Judy? And she's like, yeah.
But I mean,
follow the Yellow Brick Road. Like,
but Bogart
doesn't make any
though, he
sense.
was basically like, it's not really a big thing. It's just a thing that we've done.
Hold on, it's not a big thing, but he has like chapter positions.
Yeah,
laid
but
out. That's very
but it wasn't
weird.
it wasn't like it was just one chapter. It was just one group of people. It wasn't like a nationwide thing. Become a part of the Rat Pack or something like that. They didn't
So
have flyers
strange.
in San Francisco or something like that.
So Humphrey Bogart was like, it's too much of a sausage party. Let's get some ladies in here. And then whenever Frank Sinatra took it over, he was like, all these ladies are cramping my style, and kicked them all out and made it a sausage party. Are we disagreeing on that? 'Cause
No. So Bogart never really wanted to be part of the Rat Pack.
he didn't want to be pack master?
No, well, that's Frank Sinatra. But he was coined as the original like founding member of the Rat Pack.
Okay.
Him and Lauren Bacall, typically they were the ones who started it all.
Was Capone the treasurer?
No, but it changed. But it changed though
Bad
in
hiring.
in the 60s. So when in 1960, it actually became Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, Sammy Davis Jr., Peter Lawford, and Joey Bishop. However, there were some things with Peter Lawford, like he married a Kennedy.
Okay.
He married John F. Kennedy's sister.
Scandals.
So there was a huge thing. The Rat Pack were like, yeah, we'll do the campaigns and stuff like that for John F. Kennedy because he was running for president.
Yeah.
And they hung out all the time. But there was one point where Peter Lawford and Frank were Frank was wanting John F. Kennedy to come to his house. And so he built this helipad and all that kind of stuff, upgraded his house. We're going to have a huge party. We're going to have a huge campaign rally, all that kind of stuff. John F. Kennedy didn't really want to do it
Well, of course
because of the potential ties to the mob. Mm-hmm. And he was like, that doesn't look good on my campaign.
Instead, let me go hang out at Bohemian Grove with these other people who are going to do this orgy in the middle of the summer.
It didn't exist back then. Remember that, Eddie?
Yeah, it did.
No, it didn't.
That's nuts. Yes, it's been around for hundreds of years. You guys
Deny,
know
deny,
Oh,
deny.
But anyway, the funny thing was now you only see typically the Rat Pack as those three: Frank, Dean, and Sammy. And Peter Lawford was kind of banished by Frank Sinatra. He was like, "Yeah, we don't want you anymore because you didn't bring your future brother-in-law in here."
Wow.
Wow.
Sounds kind of petty.
It is a little petty, but hey, it's like Pack Master over here.
Well, it's kind of weird too. Going back to the movie real fast.
Yeah.
It didn't look like all of them liked being around each other all the time. Like Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin looked like they liked talking to each other. Everybody seemed like they were cool with Sammy Davis Jr. Beyond that, it seemed like some of them didn't really like each other. Now I don't know if it was acting or not, but it just didn't appear like they were all actually friends.
I mean, that's the thing. It's like Frank, Dean, and Sammy were very tight.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, Peter.
Well, actually, Peter Lawford, but Peter Lawford and Sammy, they haven't seen Frankie in apparently a couple years. Like this movie brought them all back together,
right?
Because they had some kind of falling out. I don't know what.
Well, see, okay, I didn't know that, and that to me felt evident. Like I felt that.
And I think that was because of the Kennedys.
It might have been.
I think it was Lawford's ties to the Kennedys. I may be wrong, but
No, that's possible.
I mean, the timing was a little. It's right.
Yeah. So, does anyone feel like the first hour was kind of
Yes.
slow?
Yes.
kind of slow.
Okay, really slow.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I kept waiting for it to start. Yeah.
I'll say this. I started watching it in the evening, and I got an hour in, and I paused it. I'm like, okay, I need to use the restroom. Yeah, that was 37 minutes. It wasn't an hour.
Yeah.
It did not feel like a 2-hour film.
When
It felt like a 3-hour film.
Yeah. When I paused it, because I was going, okay, when is the heist going to happen? It was at 53 minutes.
Yep.
So
That's where I didn't pause it. I kept watching it, but I was like, okay, well, cool. He's getting the people together. Oh, we're gonna go see where that guy. Okay, so this other guy's.
They went
come
over
in.
every person.
Hold on a second. We're up to 4 people. Fuck. How long are they gonna bring the team together?
Yeah.
If there's one critique that I would have for this movie versus the remake, the Ocean's 11 2001. Thank you.
Yeah.
They did it better.
I
They
was gonna
definitely
mention
did that better. I'm like,
I totally agree. And this movie was basically like, hey, we have skills. We have let's sing. We've got Sammy Davis Jr. He's a singer. We've got Dean Martin. He's a singer. Let's have some concerts in this as well. And when people come to the movie theaters, they're seeing a concert as well.
It was a marketing ploy.
Yeah.
But the concerts didn't even happen until the second half of the movie.
Right.
I think Sammy's did. Sammy sang that song standing on like a table or car or something.
And you have one scene where Dean is in the hotel room and he's getting googly eyed by the maids.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
He's singing there, just off.
The piano.
Forgot about that because I was thinking about the piano on stage more, but that's definitely is the second half. That's gearing up for the actual heist, quote unquote.
Yep.
Once it got to the heist, I did feel like it picked up speed.
Yes.
Yes,
For sure.
absolutely.
I thought it got better.
What's funny is I definitely would like to have taken Frank's advice and be like, screw the movie, let's do the heist, because the heist part, I think it was like an hour and 27 minutes into the film. This is a 2 hour and 7 minute film. About an hour and 27 minutes, that's when the lights go off.
Okay.
And the casinos. That's where shit starts.
An
It
hour
was like,
20.
okay, this is where it's starting to get good. Are they going to get caught? Is everything going to go right? This is great.
Yeah.
But yeah, like like you said, the very first hour was just like, okay,
Well,
huge
then the
character
heist-
development.
But then the heist was so short. I was like, okay, no payoff. Like it was so quick. Like you don't see anything. You just see
It was
him.
done in real time.
I'm with you, but it was so short that I was like, wait a minute.
Because they only had a minute and 27 seconds or a minute
28
36
seconds.
or something like that.
Minute
It was-
28.
yeah.
But it was so fast. I don't know. It bugged me. Or minute 38 maybe. Go ahead.
Yeah.
There was a montage that wasn't a true montage. My montage feelings. when they had to go, when Jimmy, I believe it is, he's the electrician. Jimmy,
Yeah, I think
think so.
Yeah.
he's the one that dies.
I don't know. There's 11 people and all of them.
No, it was
Josh. No, Josh.
No,
was
Josh was
That's
Sammy.
Anthony.
Anthony.
Anthony, he's the one that dies. He's
Yes.
the electrician. Okay.
Yep.
Ocean number 6.
When we're watching Anthony
Yeah.
go to each hotel, all 5 of them,
Yeah.
and look at the fucking electrical boxes.
Yep.
I felt like I was in a montage. I'm like, this is the longest, slowest montage that I've ever seen, because it's like, okay, we're gonna pull in to the hotel, then we're gonna see Anthony, and then we're gonna go see the box, and we see the guy spraying the door handle with the
On
paint.
every single
I'm like,
place,
you
yeah.
have got to be kidding me.
Yeah,
When
but
is
you know
this
what?
going to end?
That's actually very clever in a heist move. Anyways, is infrared paint. They can only be seen on flash.
I'm with you.
That was really cool.
It was clever.
I'm with you.
I'm with John.
I just
though.
had to see it
No.
5 times.
I totally get it. But the same thing happened with the damn trash trucks.
I know.
Okay,
Like,
so the
Sammy
trash
Davis
truck,
Jr.'s trash truck company pulls into every single.
what I liked about that
Casino.
versus the doorknob electric box thing, the doorknob electric box thing felt like the director felt like everything had to be on screen or else it didn't occur.
Right.
And I'm like,
So they basically read Eddie's mind.
No.
It's like if I didn't see it,
no,
it didn't happen.
I wouldn't need to see all 5. Because here's the thing too,
Because he already said I have to look at every box.
Right.
So you could assume he does.
we do 1, maybe 2,
Maybe
and
2,
move on.
yeah.
You know what I
Right.
mean? That was a thing, but also I kind of liked seeing Sammy's piece because it was cementing the idea that while the trash truck seemed like it didn't seem like anything for a second. Like it just seemed like, oh, he's driving a trash truck, like to get access to the building, whatever.
Yeah.
Well, that's the way the whole heist takes place. I'm like, okay, so it was foreshadowing.
Well,
In
that's
that
how.
way, I can
that's how all the cash gets out of Vegas.
I can deal with that a
Yeah.
lot better than I can the electric thing.
Yeah.
The other thing that bugged me though is when Frank Sinatra is outlining the plan to everybody and they're standing around the table.
Yeah.
He's like, these 5 hotels, the Sands,
Yes.
Yeah.
and he says it 3 times, and
Yes.
I'm like, and each time the camera goes to his hand and it's the Sands. I'm like, okay, dude, I get it. Like, you don't need to say it 3 times. I mean, it's not even speaking to the guys at the table. You're speaking to the audience at that point.
Right.
And during that first hour, the first hour of the movie, they have mindless chit chat.
Yeah.
I'm like, or there's a ton of mindless chit chat that doesn't do anything for the film whatsoever.
Nope.
And then they're playing jokes on
Spiros.
Spiros. I'm like, what a mean group of people.
Spiros, by the way, I already said he's my least favorite guy. The reason why I liked him the least was that
Because of that crazy butler?
No, I could deal with the crazy butler more than
You
Spiros.
have no phone calls today.
Because at least he was barely in the movie. Spiros was the comic relief who wasn't really that funny.
No, he was not funny.
And the music was so like wah 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 every time that they would play a joke, and I'm like,
You're right.
come on, guys! Like, again, it's like the director just wasn't ever told, hey, you know, some things can be subtle.
Right.
Like, I mean, if you listen to the music would crescendo and then be like, wah, every time he felt deflated.
Well, there was a lot of
I'm like-
there was a lot of inside jokes going on.
It reminded me of Green Acres, by the way, that music thing. I'm sorry. It reminded me of, like, you know, Green Acres or
Yeah.
Get Smart, that musical. I don't know. It just reminded me of that.
Well, there was
inside
there was a
jokes,
lot
sorry.
of inside jokes, meaning like, you know, they would talk about when they were in war and stuff like that. And, oh, you remember when such and such did this? Oh, that was funny. You know, they just kept doing that kind of stuff that was like, okay, it's not really needed
Right.
in all this. And I noticed that one thing that kind of put me out of the movie was when I think it was Dean was talking to Angie Dickinson, which is Patrice Ocean.
The wife,
The wife.
Yeah.
ex-wife, sort of. Yeah.
Yeah, when they were talking to each other, the style of editing was you cut first, then you speak. Mm-hmm. And I started noticing that more and more and more. There was no overlapping edits
Right.
at all in that movie. Mm-hmm. And I was like, holy shit, this is crazy. You know, it's amazing how editing has gotten so much better and so much, like, relaxed. Because when you have the cuts cut to you, you're like, you're waiting for that beat to happen or
Yeah.
something like that.
Right.
So it's like it creates a longer cut.
And and usually when you do those, they're called J cuts and L cuts.
Yes.
Usually when you do that, it's to give the feeling that the conversation is happening very quickly.
Yes.
So I can understand like the scene where he takes his wife up to the restaurant,
The
Yeah.
Sky Lounge.
the Sky Lounge, you
yeah.
know, and they're having this kind of heart to heart kind of. That makes sense.
Sure.
You know, cut, wait a beat, speak, cut.
Yeah.
You know, that makes sense. And all
but
that.
for every
But
piece
for
of
every
dialogue,
piece, you're right.
that's like, oof.
So-
And I think that's what made it feel long. I mean, yes,
Possible.
it was long, but it may have felt long just because of the way they cut the dialogue scenes.
I think that's part of it. I'm gonna do a praise and a critique at the same time. A lot of the actors, Mushi or whatever, that guy, not a good actor. Like, I just didn't think he was a good actor whatsoever.
Joey Bishop?
Oh,
was his-
Joey Bishop, yeah. Mushy.
Mushy.
Okay.
Not a good actor whatsoever. But I did actually like how you used the word relaxed a second ago. That's how I would describe Dean Martin, Sammy Davis Jr., Peter Lawford to a certain extent, even Richard Conte. I would say that those guys were very relaxed in their dialogue. Like, I watched Spartacus recently with my son because he wanted to watch Spartacus. And there's a couple of actors in that movie that I'm like, God damn, like, they're awful. Like, they're not modern actors whatsoever. They're like stage actors, right? They're just really,
Yeah.
really bad. But then there's a couple of really good actors in that movie that sort of save the movie. You know what I mean? Like, bring the whole movie together with 3 actors. You know what I
Right.
mean? This movie had a little bit of that happening. There were a few that were really bad, but there were more good ones.
It's probably because Joey Bishop really wasn't in a whole lot of movies.
He just seemed very stiff.
He was
Yeah.
in comedy. He had his own show,
Gotcha.
the Joey Bishop show. So I
Okay.
mean, he's a comedian. So he's one of those. It's like the one-liners, the quick, you know,
Did he have any of that in this movie?
he had some comedic relief, but not much.
I don't
Jesus, I
remember.
can't think of one.
Yeah.
It was mainly with him because he was all up Spiros's ass.
Yeah.
And so, you know, those two together, you know, they're like bantering back and forth, and that was kind of the comedic relief. But it's not as much as comedic relief as you'd probably need. Like, there was a few chuckles in this movie, but not as many to like make it a comedy.
Well,
per
that's
se.
my other critique. My critique I was saying is I can't remember hardly any chuckles per se, but I would say that there's certain parts that I don't think were necessary. The wife in general, in the remake, the wife is completely integral to the fucking story. Like, the main reason why he's targeting those banks, or that bank in particular, is because his ex-wife is actually with the hotel owner, and it's sort of like a double
personal,
whammy.
yeah.
It's a personal thing.
I gotcha.
The wife is not necessary in this story. There's no reason for it.
You're right.
Adele is a completely useless character as far as I can tell. I can't come up with a reason for her whatsoever.
And the odd thing with Adele, I don't understand this. Adele is Sinatra's mistress.
Yes.
Right.
I guess.
Why
yeah.
is Adele
Or girlfriend.
hanging out with
Bishop?
Bishop's
Mom.
mother? Because Frank and
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, true.
Danny and Ocean and Bishop are friends. Mm-hmm. And why is the mistress of Danny hanging out with his best friend's mom?
That confused me too.
The only thing I could get out of it was that they're all traveling in these like
Circles.
elitist circles that
Yeah.
are kind of
guess that-
criminal,
yeah,
but
that makes
kind
sense.
of on the up and up. Because she's a con woman, isn't she? Isn't that what she does? Like
We don't
she's
know.
conning
We
guys.
don't really know, but it's more like Frank actually was saying something like, yeah, we met at a bar, you know, we hit it off that night, but did you really expect anything out of it? You know?
I don't know. I feel like the only purpose she had was to make Sinatra look like a ladies' man.
Right.
Yeah.
God damn,
Yeah.
we didn't need that. The two girls at the beginning of the movie were already kind of cementing that. You know, what
Right,
I mean? Like,
yeah.
it was very. I don't know. There was just a few because I mean those two girls who were in the room with him and Dean Martin. They're throwaway characters, and I was like, not a problem. They threw them away. They walked out. We didn't see them again.
It was Peter Lawford and Frank.
What did I say? Peter Frank and
Frank and Dean.
okay. See what I'm saying? I can't keep that shit straight.
And that
Yeah.
sweater that they had
God.
Frank in at the beginning.
That looked comfy
That
as hell.
thing needed to be. No, it didn't. That thing looked itchy. It looked like a wild animal. It looked like he needed to take it off because it was going to bite him.
It could have been.
That's funny.
It
It looked like he
been
was wearing a sherbet.
I didn't even notice.
That's
I
exactly
didn't even
what
notice it,
was.
Kyle.
Fuzzy navel.
It was a sherbet.
I didn't even notice it, man.
Yeah.
Didn't even
hell,
strike me.
my wife did. I didn't even notice how hairy Peter Lawford was, but she was like, I just can't stand Peter Lawford on that couch getting massaged, and that chick was like, you know, massaging him, and he's like hairy as hell. I'm like,
Oh, I thought he was not hairy.
I thought he was like hairless.
There was no hair.
It's weird. I'll have to check that.
I'm not going to rewatch that
I
movie
wouldn't
just
check
for
it. Yeah, neither am I.
Just it might be just between my wife and I, but.
No, I mean, yeah.
But I thought that was a pretty funny thing. It's like, wait, what movie did you see?
Jesus.
There is a scene that I really did like, and I would say it's probably my favorite scene. It was Dean Martin and Shirley MacLaine.
Okay.
Yeah.
When Shirley MacLaine's out in the parking lot and she's drunk, I really like that scene. I thought they had great chemistry, and I thought it was good.
I just hated the ADR. The ADR
Was the ADR pretty bad?
Oh, it was
Awful.
awful. Yeah,
There's-
it sounded
there's
like
a-
they were talking in a room like this, but they're supposed to be outside.
Well, not just that, but it just didn't
It
match
didn't match
at all.
up. Yeah, yeah. I did. I was like, and Godzilla's attacking the city. Yeah, I thought about that too a little bit. See, I didn't like that scene though. I couldn't come up with a reason for why. It seemed like another.
Well, and that's what I said. There's no reason
Yeah.
for the scene. I mean, the scene does not need to be there. But if of the scenes that are in the film that don't need to be there, it is probably my favorite scene of those scenes.
Gotcha.
See, okay, so on that topic, on that comment, I should say, who else feels like this movie could be an hour and 10 minutes? A good
yeah.
hour
Yes.
and 10 minutes.
Absolutely.
I would say at least 90-minute film. Just make it feature length,
Okay.
and you can call it a day.
Okay, I maybe
There's-
90,
There's
maybe, but
there's definitely 30 minutes or 35 minutes that you could cut out for sure.
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and like you were saying with the remake of Ocean's 11, like one of the things they do, I think, really well. Now, granted, I haven't seen this movie since 2001, but it's if correct me if I'm wrong, but Brad Pitt and George Clooney's character, like they're both already in on the job, right?
Yes.
And they're the two that go and grab all the people,
Yes. And
Right.
they grab him in
Actually,
quick.
and they grab them
Yeah.
in quick succession.
It's
and,
like 15, 20 minutes, and
It's
everyone's
mostly
together.
Brad Pitt.
Right.
It's mostly Brad Pitt grabbing everybody because Danny's more in the George Clooney is more in the looking at the hotel and
Yeah, he's more
back
like
with his
casing the
wife
joints
and,
and-
yeah, that kind of stuff.
yeah. They could have done the same thing here. Like they could have had Frank and Dean,
Mm-hmm.
already know what all the plan is. You know, maybe have one more person like Sammy Davis. Just have the top three already in on it.
Well, I
And
think
then-
they did. I don't think Sammy Davis Jr. was in on it, but I believe Dean and Frank were already in on it, weren't they? because he goes, they're calling each other lieutenant and sergeant, and they're. I felt like they already knew about it.
Well, no, they knew each other because of the
No,
paratrooper days, but
Yeah.
but I mean, everybody kind of knew about it, knew that they were getting a crew together,
But they didn't know why.
but they didn't know what the plan was and all that. But I was getting frustrated, just like your favorite character, what's his name?
Peter Lawford?
No, Sal.
Spiros.
Spiros?
Just
Oh.
like Spiros. I was getting pissed off going, when is this movie going to start?
Yeah.
He was like, when it's 9 o'clock, let's go. I'm going, yeah, it's freaking 9 o'clock, let's go.
John's doing his own reenactment.
It's 9:30.
It's 9:30. Where is he?
I
Yeah.
can't take this anymore. Why did they do this to me? Ooh.
I don't know. So the
The prank calls just kill me.
Well, that was the thing.
With Frank.
I'm like, really?
that was the
Do
thing
we
I
have
didn't
to?
quite understand either, because I was like, okay, they're trying to do this whole like playful thing,
Like they're immature,
but they're all army guys who
Yeah.
are doing something very, very serious, and for no other reason than to get money.
yeah.
It's not like in
That didn't connect with me either.
the George Clooney one. I was like, okay, well, if he decided to screw around, it's because he's trying to get his wife back and he's trying to screw with Andy Garcia. This one, there's none of that. So it's like, well, I don't understand. I didn't understand the playfulness. Can you explain the playfulness, Kyle, or do you know why?
Honestly, I think it's just they're, especially with the main three,
Yeah.
Frank, Dean, and Sammy. They're all friends, so it's just like making a movie with your friends. So of course you're just going to be laid back, goofy, playing games, because it's fun.
Okay.
You're
Just remind me to never make a movie with my friends. Never doing that.
They didn't have to. It didn't have to be a good film.
yeah.
Because they remember they're it's Frank, it's Dean,
Yeah.
it's Sammy, it's Joey Bishop, it's all these people who are going to sell the film.
Yes.
Fair enough.
Their names and their talents alone will definitely get people in the seats in the theater. That's what they were banking on. The screenplay and all that kind of stuff, the length of it didn't really matter.
Man.
Just because they were expecting everybody to come just because of the Rat Pack were in there.
Okay, and I don't know if I already said this. I know I mentioned a one-liner earlier, but I got to say this now. I didn't know who the fuck anybody was until like a good solid 20 to 30 minutes into the movie.
It was okay. So like the very beginning, I paused it and I looked over at my wife and I was like, okay, so wait, who's Ocean? And she's like, Frank. And I'm like, okay,
Who's Frank?
no.
I did that. I was like, wait a minute.
I knew who Frank Sinatra is, but
If he didn't, I imagine that he'd be getting divorce papers. right
but really
now.
the only scene that like towards the very beginning
Yeah.
was when Syros was trying to call Peter Lawford and everything. They're out,
Yes.
right? And he's trying to get a hold of them, but they're out. They're constantly out. So you know who Peter Lawford's character is, but you don't. It's like she just says on the phone, such and such and Ocean are
Ocean
out.
isn't here, exactly.
They're
Yeah.
out. They're not here. And then Ocean comes in.
Yeah.
And
But he doesn't say he's Ocean, and he doesn't call him Danny.
Right, but
and for
that's-
like a
but-
few minutes, I'm like, who the fuck is playing Danny Ocean?
Yeah.
I'm like, what's going on?
Is Danny Ocean somebody that's like organizing all this? And
Yeah.
it was Frank organizing all of it. But
I mean, you didn't catch who was playing who by the 15-minute opening credit?
So if I'm honest, I skipped the opening credits,
Oh,
and
see?
that was the only thing that I was like, okay, cool. Well, I knew it was Frank Sinatra, but the problem was you guys said that Mushy kind of looked like Frank Sinatra a little bit. Whenever I saw him, I was like, okay, that's definitely not Frank Sinatra.
no.
But after about 15 minutes of not seeing Frank Sinatra, I was like, maybe that was Frank Sinatra. Like, I don't.
He
how did I miss
wishes
him?
he wishes he could. Joey Bishop wishes that he could be.
I just felt like I missed
Frank.
it. I don't know.
You
John,
can't
I'm
you
sorry.
can't mess with those baby blues.
the opening credits were very, very annoying to me. I watched them, I sat through them, and I'm like, okay, this is the '60s.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is the epitome of a '60s movie.
Right.
But I answer this question for me. Other than the movie being called Ocean's 11, who is the main character of the film?
Right. Ocean.
Yeah, Danny Ocean.
No.
How would I get that without knowing that the film was called Ocean's 11?
I would say it was.
It was mostly Dean.
Which
No,
one's
it was,
Dean?
It was mainly Frank Sinatra. I thought.
If we look, I haven't done this, but I have a feeling that if we look at the amount of dialogue in the screen time, he's not going to be near the top.
I think it's the guy whose mom is Caesar.
So it's Peter Lawford.
I think he was the main character. We see his mom. We see his mom's husband. We see him. No, we don't see him outside, right, with the girl. That's not the same guy.
No, that's Dean
Fuck,
Martin.
I always get those. See, that's what I'm saying. But but we definitely see more with that guy, and I know more about him. He's like, he was a rich kid. The guy who's banging his mom wishes that he, he's like, well, why did you go into the army? I mean, we know more about him.
There's
than we
definitely
do Ocean.
there's definitely a lot more character development on Peter Lawford's character than there is on Dean Martin's character, because Dean Martin just came from Hawaii.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much just like, hey, how's Hawaii? And he's like, it rains and it rains sometimes and it doesn't rain sometimes.
What happened to the guy who picked him up at the airport? What happened to that guy? Was he involved in it anymore? I didn't see him after he got picked up at the airport.
It was part of the 11.
It was?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Oh, he was. Yes.
He was part of the group. Now,
small role.
But you know what was interesting though is the acting was kind of weird in that scene, because he came up to him. I forgot who that was, but he came up to Dean and he was like, "Hey, you're such and such, and you're Sam Harmon, right?" And he's like, "Yeah."
That takes care of me. Now, who are you?
Yeah, he's like, "Who are you?"
Yeah.
And it was just an awkward scene. And he's like, "Well, I jumped out of an airplane with you, And he's like, "Oh yeah." And then he was like, "Hey, how's this guy and how's this guy?" He's just immediately clicked or something like that. But granted, it's been a long time since they've seen each other, so people change and all that kind of stuff. But it was just awkward.
There's that awkward exchange. The guy who gets the guy who dies. What's his name again?
Anthony?
Oh yeah, Anthony.
The guy who goes to get Anthony. What's his name?
Well, both Frank and Dean were around.
No, the kid, the one who looks way too young to be hanging around with everybody else.
Joey Bishop?
No, it's not Joey Bishop, is it?
No, because the people that were like motioning him across the street or something like that, that was Frank and Dean.
Not Frank. No, I know them.
Okay.
This is the guy who goes to Roger Cornell.
Oh.
That's who it is. Cornell goes to get Anthony, and he goes in the store, and the guy's like, I hate to tell you this, mister, but he's in a, I don't like to talk bad, but he's actually in jail.
Henry Silva, yeah.
There you go. That guy, I'm very confused by his role in everything.
He's basically like the main reconnaissance dude.
And yet he doesn't get everybody. There's other people that he mainly just gets Anthony. It's very strange. Just the way that it all came together was very, very weird.
Yeah.
Cornel spent a shit ton of time on the screen too.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, but why? Again, it just seems strange. Like, because you're talking about that scene at the airport being a weird exchange between the two of them. The fact that he can't just go in and find Anthony, he's got to do this roundabout finding Anthony, and Anthony's dead, or no, Anthony's in jail, and then we find out Anthony's actually not in jail and he's getting out. That whole thing seemed contrived just to make a joke with Spiros, which wasn't really a joke. It wasn't even funny. And I'm like, I don't know, it just seemed very strange.
1960s humor.
Right?
Yeah, but I feel I feel like I've seen movies in the 60s that were funny.
Well,
and
yes.
and that's the thing is these guys are funny.
And yet it wasn't
there.
there.
It just it wasn't, and I don't. I think this is what happens when you get guys who are naturally funny and naturally on in front of a camera, doing lines that someone else wrote for them.
Well, I almost think this shouldn't have been a comedy.
Well, it's not labeled as a comedy.
Yeah, it's not really a comedy.
No, I'm totally with you.
It is.
It is a comedy.
Comedy,
yeah.
crime, music.
wow.
Is the genres.
So yes, you're right. No, it shouldn't have been.
I don't think comedy made sense. I think you cut the comedy shit, you make it a serious crime thing, like make it a crime singing musical. Fine, it's Chicago.
Could be a drama.
I mean, that's what I'm saying when I say cut the comedy. It'd be more of a drama, and you cut the wife stuff. There's no reason to have the wife. You cut that, and you get a pretty solid movie. Well, no, the drama would be the drama of creating the crime.
Sure.
Like, I mean, but to have, I don't know. I just feel like having all those extra pieces in there, I don't think they helped.
Some interesting tidbits. Did you guys know that Sammy Davis Jr. had no left eye?
No,
I did know that.
I just thought it was a lazy eye.
No, it's a glass eye.
I didn't know that.
He lost it in a car accident in 1954.
Oh,
ouch!
And what's kind of crazy is I think this is like the first time that in the movie he actually brings his real life disability into his character, because he said nobody wanted to hire a one-eyed outfielder or something like that, because he was going to try to be a baseball player.
Yes.
But he's like, the best I can get is some team down south that, wasn't worth a shit, type thing.
Yeah.
But I was like, holy shit, he actually mentions it in his character, which is kind of interesting. That, and for the longest time, I had no idea that he had a glass eye.
Yeah, I just thought it was a lazy eye because he's always squinting. But now it makes sense. He's trying to hold it in. Um,
Oh, that's
It's not how it works with glass
No,
eyes,
that's
but
not how it works at all.
but that's cool, Justin. I guess make
it's
fun of
not
people's
holding it in.
disabilities.
Jesus.
I'm
But-
fat, so
Okay, so one cool scene that I thought that actually made me go, "Wow, that was really cool." Was when they were doing the countdown at the very end of the film, or
With the balloon?
before the heist. Yes, and they were going through all 5 of the casinos.
Yeah.
And each hotel had different color balloons, so you could actually kind of tell the difference between the
Well, and the
ones.
speed of the song was different too. I don't know if you noticed that. They were singing "Shit All Acquaintance." They were singing that
Yes.
at a different speed,
Uh-huh.
which I was like, "Well, that's already fucking up their plan." Because if they're singing at a different speed, it's no longer 1 minute and 38 seconds long. Now
Right.
it's 1 minute 38 in the normal speed. In every other hotel, it's either longer or shorter than that. And I'm like, well,
Yeah.
way to screw that one up. But anyway, go
But
ahead.
of
sorry.
course, you know, it didn't really flow as well as it needed to.
Yeah.
But I think that was just because of the way film is edited, and it's really difficult to make those natural type transitions
Yeah.
with balloons and shit.
it was definitely a cool idea, and I noticed that, and I thought that was applaud them for trying to attempt that.
Yeah,
Because
I thought that was really
I
neat.
thought it was really cool.
I like the twist at the end. Like I saw it coming because whenever they were in the church at night
Yes,
and they're
let's
putting the
talk
money
about
inside the casket, I'm like, well, this isn't going to go well.
Yeah.
I'm like, this isn't going to work.
Yeah, so they're trying to ship it out of Vegas and basically be like, "Oh, we don't have the money." And then when what was the guy's name?
Anthony.
No.
Duke Santos.
Yeah, Duke Santos, you know, when he comes in, he's like, "See, they have the money." And we're like, "What money?"
Yeah.
Like it's totally gone.
Yeah.
Right? They thought that they were being funny or not coy and just be like and clever and be like, "Yeah, see, we don't have the money." Fuck you.
Yeah.
You know, but then in the church when they hear the gas and the flames, they're like, "He's being cremated."
They're like, what's that noise?
Everybody's like, "What?"
Yeah. I will be honest, I did not see that coming.
No, neither did I. I thought it was a good twist, but it was kind of funny. And
Yeah.
I was like, there's your humor.
Yeah.
Well, and it
Ill
wasn't
placed
even
as it is. Like,
it wasn't even them saying anything. It was their reaction to it and the
Everybody's
camera
looking-
work,
Yeah.
which really sold it.
Everybody's looking to the right, like, can you believe this shit?
Yeah.
We got this close, and now he's just burning all the cash.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I saw it coming.
Oh,
Did
really?
you?
I did. As soon as the funeral director convinced his widow to
stay?
do it there, I'm like, okay.
See, I saw it-
Here it is.
I saw it the night before when they were putting in the casket, but I was like, this isn't going to go. I was like, they're going to lose the money because it's going in this casket. They're going to bury it or they're going to do something. I saw it then, but you're right. Whenever he was like, let's do it here, I was like, oh shit.
And I don't know. I lost I did not find the humor in in that scene. The payoff was not there for me.
I would be pissed.
I was very
For one.
disappointed that the money was gone, to be quite honest.
I got excited
I thought it
because
was
we
a
only
good
had 3
ending.
minutes left of the movie.
Oh,
I'll admit, I'm like, where's because I was going, where's this going?
Yeah.
How is this going to wrap up? And I paused. I'm like, okay, we got 10 minutes left. Okay, 5 minutes left. 2 minutes left. What the hell's going on here? And then just no money. I'm like, what?
all right. So the part in I think it was towards the beginning when they were talking about how they almost did a heist when they were overseas when they grabbed all those gold bars. And they're like, yeah, we should have buried it. And the guy was like, well, we didn't have shovels. And then Frank's like, well, we have shovels now. Let's do the heist.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, okay, I had shovels in the brain. And I'm thinking, oh, okay, well, they're just going to have the funeral there with the American Legion, and they're just going to
Bury the money and then dig it up later.
That's
and
exactly
then
what I
use
thought.
the shovels that they have and it's
Yeah.
figurative speech and all that kind of stuff.
It
But
was gonna be a throwback to the beginning of the movie.
yeah, it was
It's
going to be
all
kind of
circular.
circle around. But then they heard the cremation process happen, and were like, oh shit,
Yeah.
that's funny. But then they walk, on the Vegas Strip with their names in the back. Did you guys catch that?
No, I didn't
Yeah.
catch that.
All 5 of them were listed on the
On one of the
billboards.
billboards
Yeah.
of the Sands.
No, I didn't see
So
that.
speaking of money, you got
Yeah,
you got one more?
I got 2 more things.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
The line in the film, I mean, it's a classic type line where Anthony says, "Look, Doc, give it to me straight. Is it the big casino?"
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was one of the worst parts for me, but I was like, yeah, he said it.
I laughed at that because it took me out of the film because how so cliche
Yes.
it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty
It
funny.
didn't make, yeah.
And then does anybody else find it odd that inside the safes of every hotel, the name of the hotel is printed on the inside of the door.
I actually like that.
I
Did
thought
you
it was,
really?
I'm like, who's gonna be looking at the damn thing from inside the thing?
That's
Well, when
totally the director talking to the audience.
Well, when you
of,
open the
this
door-
is the-
Well, yeah, this is where we're at.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I know
know.
why it's there, but it was very awkward.
Yeah.
Very awkward to
I
me.
just felt like he had to do that too often. He did that a lot. Yeah.
It was kind of over the head a lot with a hammer.
Yeah, a bit. Okay, Kyle, let's talk money.
Yeah, so the actual budget of this film.
Okay.
This is obviously 1960s money.
Okay,
that
go
we're
ahead.
talking
Go
about.
ahead, John.
Oh,
$2 million.
2 million?
Okay.
Okay. Justin?
I don't know. There's a lot of famous people in this.
I know.
You said 2?
Yeah.
7.
7? I'm going in the middle at 5.
All right, so it was actually $2.8 million.
Yep, John got it.
Nice.
Yep. Okay.
I was going to do the quick conversion here of what that would actually cost today in today's money.
Oh, it's like $100 billion now, isn't it?
It's let me see here.
2.8 is that what you said?
$1 billion
$2.8
million dollars.
let's see,
So it's probably like 5.3.
Sure.
No. Really? That low?
No, it's actually $24,800,000.
See, I was close.
Yeah, see, it's just off for about
Okay.
23.
You know what? If we were guessing numbers, you were closer. I said $1 billion. So yeah.
I didn't say a number at all. So
There we
yeah,
go.
you're way
Yeah.
closer to me.
Okay.
All right,
Winner, winner,
so-
chicken dinner.
So this is not on IMDb, but I found a different number for the box office. I'm assuming it's either box office or like
Worldwide gross.
gross over the U.S.
Okay.
And this is still 60s money?
Yes.
Oh. I'm going $8 million.
Okay.
I'm at
10 million.
10.
5.
Ooh, Justin's almost on it. $5.5 million.
Ooh.
Damn it.
Wow.
I overshot both times.
So they made their money back plus some. So that's, they were able to use some of that money for, the Rat Pack tour that happened later than the 60s.
Keep Sammy Davis Jr. alive a little longer. Oh, no. Okay.
Aw. He was
Okay.
a good guy. I liked him.
I did too, but, can't do drugs, man.
That's true. So let's talk about what Rotten Tomatoes thinks of the movie then too.
Critic score?
Yeah, so let's do audience score first.
Audience score. I'm going to go 75%.
I'm gonna go probably a little lower just because Rotten Tomatoes is millennial and they don't like 60s movies. I'll do 40%.
Okay.
60%.
81%.
Oh damn!
Yeah.
Wow.
Here's the thing, and I agree with you, and I think if people were honest with themselves, they would like less older movies.
Yeah.
Because, like, I was watching Spartacus today. It's 3 hours long.
That's a long movie. Yeah.
And the whole time I'm like, okay, it's really not a bad movie. It's really not a bad movie. And I'm like, but if I'm honest with myself, it looks like shit.
Well, yeah.
Half
When
the
you
people.
compare it to today's.
Well, but are we not supposed to, I mean, like, if I tell you, listen, I want you to meet this really nice girl real quick, you're not going to compare them to other girls you've ever met? No,
Okay.
of course you are.
Well, the only thing they could probably get through you is rifles in a sense.
Yeah.
You can't necessarily like back in the old days they just shot 30-30 Winchester as a military round.
Yeah.
Right now they're shooting 45 and 9mm or something like that.
No, fair enough.
It's like you can't really, even though you can shoot more.
Yeah.
But back then that's all they had.
Yes.
So you got to put yourself back into that time of the 1960s and be like, here's all the equipment they had, here's all the techniques that they knew.
Yeah.
And then just basically wipe everything that you've seen past then off the face of the earth.
But here's the difference. Going with your rifle
Yeah.
analogy, if I grab a rifle and it's from 1945, I know how it's going to shoot. It's not going to shoot like a rifle from today.
Yeah.
If it's my life on the line, I'm not grabbing 1945. I'm grabbing the rifle from today.
Right.
And in this case, if I can grab a movie off the shelf to watch, I'm going to grab the movie, not necessarily from today, but with a little bit, because there's 70s movies and 60s movies I do like,
Right.
but the ones that are doing more.
2001 Ocean's 11.
I'd probably, honestly, if I had to grab one, I'd probably grab that one before I'd grab this one.
Right.
And what I was saying with the millennial thing is that you've got Sammy Davis Jr., you've got Frank Sinatra, you've got, Dean Martin. It's fucking huge names. You'd be stoned in some places if you went, I don't really like Dean Martin. I'm not really a Frank Sinatra guy. You'd get fucking killed.
Yeah.
So most people are like, yeah, of course I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It's did you hear Dean Martin sing for like 8 minutes? It was amazing. Oh my God. Can we watch it again?
All right, well, let's do critic score then.
Oh, the critics, I'm going to say a 75.
On the critics, I'm gonna go 60.
It's a good guess, actually.
70.
48.
Oh.
Guess what? They know
They
what
were
rifle they're
honest.
grabbing.
Well, they also look at it as filmmaking.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
they look at pacing, they look at like the voicing and like all the technicalities that are involved in making a movie. They look at that.
Yeah, I get
And,
it. Yeah.
You know, they're not looking at like how did Dean make me feel? You know,
Yeah.
did he make me feel warm inside?
Which, by the way, I don't want to bring up Spartacus 10,000 more times, but I will say my son was watching it with me, and there's a couple of scenes in Spartacus. Have you guys seen Spartacus?
Yes.
Okay. All practical effects, obviously.
Yeah.
There's a couple scenes where there's like 100,000 people coming over a mountain and running down this mountain.
Yeah.
And my son's like, that's amazing. I'm like, and that shit's real. Like, there's no CGI, and it's not Lord of the Rings. Like, that's real. And he goes, that's a lot of people. He's like, they're all in this movie. I was like, their dots are. Because you can't see faces.
Yeah.
It's just little colored
Start
dots.
learning their names.
Yeah, it's just little dots on a hill. But
They're
yeah.
in Ocean's 100,000. And they all look like Frank Sinatra.
I love it. Yeah.
All right, so Kyle, let's go ahead and figure out what Screen Riot wants to rate this.
Yeah. So I'm actually just gonna go right out of the gate and say it's a 6-1 for me.
6-1?
6-1?
Okay.
Yeah.
No reasons?
I didn't know. I mean, it's basically, I look at this movie as, you know, without this, you would not have Ocean's 8. You would not have the new Ocean's 11. You would not have Ocean's 13, 12, Electric
Yeah.
Boogaloo. You wouldn't have all of those other good movies. I mean, not necessarily 8. That's just trash.
Okay.
But not just because they're females, but, you know, it's just...
It wasn't a good movie.
It wasn't a good movie.
I thought it interesting you brought up Ocean 8 first. I was like, so your argument is a 6.1 because of Ocean's 8? Wait a minute.
No. It's something that was, I think, needed for them in particular. It wasn't necessarily needed for anybody else. It was a buddy movie. It was hey, I want to make a movie with my friends and let's do this. And then, you know, it's all about cult classics and, you know, all that old stuff, you know, the Rat Pack and, you know, all that kind of cool stuff. But, you know,
Okay.
yeah, I mean, it's a decent movie. It's definitely longer than it needs to be, but you know, I just do a 6-1.
Okay. John?
I agree with that assessment and everything that we've said here today. The movie had a slow beginning. The last half was where it actually picked up. Had some funny bits of comedy. The end where the money burn up again just did not make me laugh. It made me disappointed that it happened. I don't feel that it's really aged well in its pacing and some of its content. That it's quite as questionable now. I'm still confused about who the hell the main character actually is. I did enjoy seeing the Rat Pack, you know, the legends of old on film, and I enjoyed the musical interludes. I just wish the film had a different ending and being in a quicker paced, and a more clear, precise knowing what the hell's going on. So all of that, I'm gonna rate this film a 4.5.
4.5, okay. Yeah, I think I'm more along the lines of Kyle. I think this is a decent movie. The beginning should have really been cut down, for sure. And then I didn't even think about it until Eddie brought it up, but you're right. Frank's wife, that whole character is non-essential. Mm-hmm. There's no... I was going to come in here and say I kind of like the scenes between them two, but then you convinced me. You're right. She's not needed. Just cut her out. Just cut the dead fat out.
Now the ex though was a key part just because she told Peter Lawford's mother that he was in town,
right?
Which kickstarted the whole investigation.
But when you think about it, that part could have technically been cut out too. It could have been one of the girls who was giving them back massages at the beginning.
Yeah,
done that.
It could also have been the mother of Peter Lawford, like seeing him.
Yeah,
and like, why? I thought you were skiing.
just
like,
in the street or something.
yeah, why are
too.
you here?
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
something like that.
They
But
run into each other in a
Yeah.
revolving door.
totally agree. It
Yeah.
could have been cut out.
I actually probably dissent a little. I do like the ending. I did not see the
cremation.
money getting cremated. That didn't
Yeah.
even enter into my mind for some reason. And when that sound started up in the church, I was like, "What is that?" I thought something was going on outside because like somebody was like cutting a tree all day outside my fucking window. So I thought it was just a part of them doing something. So
It's like there's this big hissing sound. What the hell is
yeah.
that?
I love when real life bleeds into the show every once in a while. There's this guy, and I swear to God, he knocked on my door 15 times. It's just-
Couldn't finish the damn movie.
Yeah. So So I didn't know if that was outside, or if that was in the movie, and I was like, "Is that?" And then they, made a point to mention it. I was like, "Oh, okay." So then that made sense. And there were a couple jokes in there, like the Sammy Davis, the racial joke was
I knew this
humorous.
would come in handy.
Yeah.
You know what I liked about that? I don't mean to interrupt you, but I did like that it was a racist joke, but not really told in a racist way. It was told in like a tongue-in-cheek, we're all
Right.
friends. I'm going to poke fun at you real quick because this is one of the only times that we can be like, I can be in a car with you guys and be like, huh?
No, but
Pays to be the black guy, doesn't it? And like, I thought that was well placed. You
Right.
know what I mean?
No, the racist bit was, I think it was Peter Lawford that says, "Hey Sammy, how do you actually get this off?" And then Sammy is like, "Well, you
Yeah.
actually," he's like, "Oh wait, no,
Yeah.
you got me there."
It's kind of fun. I mean, I don't know. I thought it showed that they were friends.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
You're right. It was
yeah.
tongue in cheek, and that's what made that
Yeah.
good. So I think I'm going to land 5.8. I think.
Okay. So I'm with you on the ending. I didn't mind the ending. The ending was probably one of the only parts I didn't mind. The beginning was slow, very slow, to the point where I questioned why it was taking so long to get to the heist. I'm not a big fan of musicals. Like I've said that multiple times. So I mean, for me, I wouldn't call this a musical, obviously, but the musical breaks. I was like, okay, I knew it was. I kind of knew it was coming.
You
Yeah.
definitely would not like Elvis movies.
No, I don't. I don't like Elvis movies. I've watched them. I'm not a fan. Yeah,
Right,
you're
yeah.
right. But I mean, I didn't feel like it was enough to ruin the movie, but at the same time, I don't feel like it added anything to the movie. Does that make sense?
Yep.
For me, anyway.
Right.
I think the biggest problem I had was the length of time. Like I felt like if they had just said it's going to be a 90-minute movie, it's gonna make sense and it's gonna be 90 minutes long. I felt like they would have made a better movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But
Yep.
being like, well, movies can be whatever length you want them to be. Sometimes crazy Ukrainian shit. Now, next thing you know, it's 2.5 hours, and you're like, wait, how long are the credits? Opening
Right.
credits? 22 minutes. Okay, well, hold on, a little long. you
Let's
know?
cut this.
Yeah. So I felt like that was a little bit. I would probably say that this was a 4 for me, but only because of the length. I actually liked the movie. I just felt like I like it more when I edit it in my mind.
Yeah. And
Does
I
that
knew,
make sense?
Yeah, and I knew that was going to be a big issue or a big topic was the length of the movie because I even like an hour in, I'm like, okay, when's this heist?
When's
gonna
the heist happening?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
my
like,
God.
when is this shit going to start?
Yeah, but I mean,
So-
if I edit it in my mind, it's probably even a 6.5, like where you're
Right,
at.
yeah.
But because I have to do that, I'm like, I can't do that. I mean, it's just not possible for me to do that and give it a fair score. Does
Gotcha.
that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. So I'd say a pretty solid 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
So with that, then that means that Ocean's 11 comes out to be 5.1.
Okay.
So that lands it not in our top 10 currently.
We have a top 10.
Yeah. We have a top 10.
Yes.
Where can I find said top 10?
You can find the said top 10
Yeah.
at AmericanPodcasting.net. So, but before we head out, we got to pick what is going to be our next movie. So,
You mean what's going to be John's movie, right?
right? Yeah, I was
Yes.
going to say Justin and Eddie and Kyle have already gone this rotation, so now it's down to John. So he's going to spin to see what his genre is going to be.
Wheel of Fate.
Eddie always finds it funny when Justin speaks of Justin in the third person.
Yes.
Eddie laughs.
Well, here John goes.
Jesus. Still so many categories.
All right, it's going to be noir.
Noir. Oh, interesting.
I'm glad I
boy.
did not get that again.
Do you have any modern noirs that you could...
I don't
pitch?
know. Let me see. Probably not.
That's not necessarily crime movies.
I know. It just means dark. We established this last time.
Yeah, just dark.
It is a type of filmmaking.
It's noted by being dark.
So Sin City, noir.
And I'll tell you, I have a few,
Okay.
but I'm not a noir fan, so I haven't actually seen any of these.
Oh,
Okay.
excellent.
Cool.
Strangers on a Train.
So, no, I think I'm going to pick The Big Heat from 1953.
Nice. Okay, I think I've seen that one.
It stars Glenn Ford, Gloria Graham, and Jocelyn Brando. Tough cop Dave Banyan takes on a politically powerful crime syndicate.
Nice.
And that's it. Short, concise.
Okay, nice.
Well, that's
So
what
3-hour
noirs
movie.
are.
No. Okay.
Next season, I want to get noir, and it's gonna be a modern noir, and you guys are gonna be like, it's not noir, and we're gonna have a big argument over it. It's gonna be great.
No. As long as it's dark, grainy, and black and white, it's noir. It's film noir.
It doesn't have to be black and white. Mm-hmm. No.
Yeah.
Okay, we're not gonna do this now.
We'll do it next season when you
We're
get
gonna
noir.
agree to disagree for a moment. Go ahead.
That's fine.
Okay, so the next movie that we're going to be doing next Saturday is The Big Heat from 1953. So make sure you go to justwatching.com and you can look it up there. You can see everywhere that it's streaming or playing. You can rent it, buy it, whatever you want to do. So to continue the, hey, let's check out a review that we've gotten lately, I wanted to point out that one user named Rachel12344, you thought I was going to say 5.
Yeah.
She said, great show, excellent review of a classic. And I remember this got posted right after our Stand By Me episode. So
Okay.
that must have been the episode
Wow.
that she was talking about.
A listener from the very beginning.
Yeah, she was
All right.
actually, if this is a female,
Yeah.
then that is the first review that we actually ever had on this show. So thank you very much, Rachel12344.
Nice. All right.
So we'd really appreciate it if you'd leave us a review, just like Rachel did. It only takes about a minute, and it helps us out way more than you would ever know. So if you're unsure how to leave a review, I'm just going to be quick little tips here. If you're listening to us in the Apple Podcast app, you just go to our show, scroll all the way to the bottom past all the episodes. You'll see some other reviews. There'll be a little button you can tap called Write a Review. You just tap one of the stars. Hopefully you give us 5, but if you don't, that's cool. And then you just give a quick little review, and then they post. And that's all you got to do. And invite your other people to do that. In fact, invite other people to our Patreon too. So if you enjoy listening, go to patreon.com/Screen Riot, where we have all kinds of benefits for joining. And speaking of our Patreon members, the Patreon exclusive episode for the month of February is going to be the movie Hidden Figures.
Yes.
So definitely keep an eye out for that when we release that. So with that, and all the guys here at Screen Riot, we thank you for listening, and have a good night.
All right. See ya.
Awesome.
See ya.
Later.